Welcome to this episode of the EU Review. We've got a lot to talk about today. I want to break down the $2.5 million Reload series, there's Victory Cups to review, and I also want to preview the Abu Dhabi Zero Build LAN. Let's get straight into it. I want to start with the Reload series announcement. This is a $2.5 million tournament. $1.5 million of that are in the online qualifiers, of which there are 4, and then there's a $1 million LAN event at the Esports World Cup in August. Throughout the year, it looked like we weren't going to see Fortnite return at the Esports World Cup, but fortunately for the game it has. We won't be seeing the ESL mode again, which I'm kind of happy about. I do prefer having a mode that has builds in it featured at these tournaments, otherwise it feels far too detached from what Fortnite actually is, and I'm quite happy that it's Reload. We have enough Battle Royale tournaments, so it's nice to have something different. From an EU perspective, the format's pretty simple. There are 4 online qualifiers, 3 duos from EU will make it through each one, meaning we'll get 12 European teams qualified to the finals. There are 40 duos that go to the finals, which means there must be some sort of LAN qualifier there, so we might not see all of those EU teams in the actual grand finals, but you'd imagine most of them would make it. The really interesting thing about this announcement is that it's completely shifted the perception of Reload in the community. Up until now, I feel like Reload has been perceived as a fun, kind of goofy mode that a lot of the pros don't really take seriously. They don't really invest a lot of time in it in terms of coming up with strategies, etc. They just play it for a bit of fun. That has completely gone out of the window now. With the amount of prize pool that's been put up for grads for being good at Reload, you have to put the time in. If you consider yourself to be a decent pro, you're going to have to get very good at Reload over the next few months. It's going to be interesting to see how Epic make Reload a proper competitive mode, because up until now it has been kind of just a fun mode. We saw at the Pro-Am there are items such as shockwaves in it, and whilst it was fun to watch, you wouldn't necessarily say that it would work in the competitive stage. Now Epic are going to have to adapt the meta so that it does work at the Esports World Cup. We've seen in the Reload Cups that we've had in the past few weeks that there's been a lot of heel-offs. Pretty much every team makes it to moving zone, and then by the time zone closes you've still got like 10 duos up. That can't be the case by August. There has to be some changes made. Epic needs to design the meta so that it retains the fun, exciting nature of Reload whilst also being suited for a competitive setting, and that's going to be difficult to execute, but I'm excited to see how they do it. We'll need to have some sensible movement metas, so that means no more shockwaves. Something like crash pads and flowberry fizz would work a lot better. I also hope we get some consistency as to what shotguns and assault rifles are in Reload. Up until now it feels like they switch it every few weeks, so the meta's constantly shifting. Because we've got these big tournaments coming up, I kind of hope they just settle on something so that pros can practice, get consistent and play at their highest level come August. So yeah, Reload has gone from being a fun, casual mode to something that every top player needs to master, and we're having these tournaments for the next 3 years, which is huge for the ecosystem, by the way. Anyone that tries to tell you this game is dying, they don't know what they're talking about, because we have big companies willing to invest huge amounts of money up until 2028. This game is well and truly alive. If I had to give an early prediction on which EU teams will perform well in the Reload series, you'd be talking about names like Shark and Teeny, like Chap and Flixie, like Sky and Scroll, maybe even names like King Cringe and Velo, who've been doing very well in Reload Cups. More on that later. I will discuss Tuesday's Reload Victory Cup later on in the video, so you'll be able to see which pros have got a head start for the format. I'll be replying to every single comment on this video, so if you've got any thoughts as to which teams will do well in the Reload series, then just let me know down below. Now speaking of big Reload tournaments, we've got the Abu Dhabi Zero Build LAN this week, but before I discuss that, I want to talk about the last 3 days of Victory Cups. I know it's the off season, but I still think it's important to review these tournaments to see which pros are doing well, as it can give us some hints as to who's going to perform in 2026. So let's talk about Monday's Duo Victory Cup. This was played in the normal Battle Royale mode, and we saw 3 teams in EU manage to get 2 wins. They were Pradaj and Faded Pigeon, Pix and Ogrizek, and Slavic and Chipast. Couple of things to note here. Firstly, Pradaj finally managing to turn his second places into wins. If you ever watch him on stream, you'll know that over the last few weeks he's been getting countless second places. Almost feels like he's cursed with the amount of times he's just not able to finalise that win. Clearly he's gotten over that, managing 2 wins with Faded Pigeon, credit to him. You'll also notice that Pix isn't playing with his normal duo Wox. Now I don't know if that's just because it's the off season or because they have split. We're going to have to wait and see on that one. Pix has been playing with a host of different Polish players. Obviously he won games with Ogrzech in this tournament. He also played with Kakpi later in the week, whilst Wox has been playing with his compatriot Dhabi. My prediction is that Pix and Wox probably are still a duo, but I still don't think they're going to last to FNCS regardless. We had Demus and Hari win a game. I did speculate in my last video as to whether this might be a real team, completely forgetting the fact that Cami and Dom are both in Abu Dhabi for the LAN, so of course Demus and Hari is just a field duo while those two are away. Although it has to be said, Demus and Hari are having a lot of success together, and sure, it won't be a real team, but I think they'd perform well if it was. Ping and Kiro managed to win too. If you watched my last video, you'll know that they didn't play with each other for a couple of tournaments in a row, and I did speculate about whether they might have split. I was 90% sure they hadn't, and yes, they are still playing together. Now let's talk about the other regions, and what I like to do for this is to isolate the most notable EU teams that managed wins. So for Middle East we had Werex and Nosif, as well as Chap Flixie. For NA Central we had Mumsy and Sato get a win, as did Syaz and Scary Sean. And then on NA West, we actually had Shakos and SplashX manage a win. Credit to all of those teams. On Tuesday, we had the Reload Victory Cup, and we had 4 EU teams manage 2 wins. They were Giras and Franek, the Polish duo, Howley and Dandapuzo, Fighto and Turtle, and King Cringe and Velo. And it's that last team that I want to talk about in a little bit more depth. If you've been watching tournaments over the past few months, you'll have seen King Cringe and Velo's name countless times. They seem to be placing just about everything, whether it's on EU, whether it's on NA, even on West and Middle East. They are just placing in everything right now. They are the team to watch. What's interesting about these guys is that between them, they've only qualified for 1 FNCS Grand Finals. That was King Cringe, who qualified with Jake Buka back in Chapter 5. So they've not got a lot of experience in set lobby finals at the highest possible level. That's something that I think is going to change in 2026. Their recent performances are indicative that they will qualify for a few Grand Finals in Chapter 7. I do think they have what it takes. They are up and coming. The rate of their improvement is very high, and I do think they'll be a team to watch out for in the next year. And yes, I know that winning in Reload Cups isn't the same as performing in the Divisional Cups and FNCS, but I do believe they have what it takes. The talent they are showing is too good to be ignored. The one issue that I do think they need to improve, save for their lack of set lobby final experience, is their mental. Too often I do feel like they're arguing. They do mute comms quite a lot, and I do think part of the reason for that is because they don't want the public to hear them arguing. Often the vibes aren't great with these two. If they can get the mental side of their game sorted, which I believe they definitely can, then they really will be a duo to look out for. This week we haven't seen Fredoxy playing with Queasy, and that is because Queasy is in Abu Dhabi for the LAN. More on that later. Fredoxy has been playing with Ziandi instead. They played the Reload Cup. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get a win, and they then didn't queue up for the subsequent Victory Cup on Wednesday. On Middle East, we saw Sky and Scroll get a win, as did Azatgo and iFrozy. And over on NA Central, we saw Werex and Nosif win a game. Second time I'm mentioning those guys, so fair play to them. As did King Cringe and Twy, and Bevies also managed to win a game with Somerset. The last cup I want to discuss before I preview the LAN was yesterday's Duo Victory Cup, where again we saw 4 EU teams manage to win twice. They were Shark and Teeny, Tiggs and Ite, Eclipse and Twy, and Moneymaker and Fanayan. We did see some team changes because of the LAN. As Swizzy is away, Pixie ended up playing with Fighto. Mr. Savage is in Abu Dhabi, but he did still play the tournament on high ping. He played with his normal teammate Tayson. They made finals but weren't able to win a game. And for any Mongrel fans out there, this event was the only one of the 3 that him and Mixon were able to qualify to the finals of. Unfortunately, they couldn't quite manage a win, with their best finish being 9th place. For the notable teams that earned on the other regions, on Middle East we had King Cringe and Velo, Cheatin and Giannis, Giras and Franek, and Kakpi and Fozka. And over on NA Central we had Nathan and Jakeys, Slavic and Kenty, and Focus and Pika. Now, as promised at the start of the video, I want to preview the Abu Dhabi Reload Zero build LAN. Firstly, the fact that this is zero build is so disappointing. I mean, this LAN could be good, it has potential to be good, but wouldn't it be so much better if it was builds? I can't believe Zero Build is still getting this much funding in 2025, nearly 2026. This LAN has a $700,000 prize pool and it's on Zero Build. Just make that make sense for me. But anyway, enough complaining. Let's try and talk about the positives. We do have 5 teams representing Europe. They are Mr. Savage and Queasy, Cammy and Swizzy, Darm and Kilnook, Leo the Crack and Chicho, and Trippern and Zrul. If you aren't aware, the organisation for this tournament has been interesting. It was initially meant to be a pro-am, but at some point that clearly got changed because Mr. Savage and Queasy are definitely not a team suitable for a pro-am. As you can see, some of the duos have 2 pros, some of them only have 1. It could be a bit of a mess this tournament if we're being honest, but should still be interesting to watch. I'm predicting Cammy and Swizzy to win the whole tournament. We know how good Cammy is at Zero Build. Obviously he won the Gamers 8 Zero Build LAN with Yapco, where they hired that NPC that gave them the meds. So I feel like Cammy will probably have some kind of strategy. He'll have devised something, he'll be prepared, and I can see him winning the tournament. Another team that I think has a good shot of winning is Leo the Crack and Chicho, and that's because they've been practicing together for a while now. They've been playing reload cups with each other for the last month, which I've only just realised is because they're playing together in this tournament. It shows how bad the marketing has been for this LAN, but there you have it. They have prepared, so I feel like they've got a good shot of winning. As you can see from this, it's a W key format, so hopefully the games will be entertaining. I do these kind of videos a couple of times a week, so if you enjoyed what you just watched, then don't forget to subscribe. If you want to support me even more, then use code SPUDSON in the Fortnite item shop. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for watching the video. See you in the next one.